What's up, guys? I'll run through some Tour 11 today. Let me pop open some stuff on the back end here. Like, get the chat open. Live stream. Ugh. So I got my stream open. Just gonna give some people some time to pop in here. The gist of what we're going to do. What's up, Rob? How's it going? Just gonna wait a couple more minutes, wait for some people to hop in. The gist of what we're gonna do some Tour 11. Somebody last week, they reached out to me and they were just saying they were having trouble with the Tour 10 to Tour 11 transition. I believe that might be where it goes from second T deck to third T deck. I don't know if that's possible to check. It might be. Let's see if I can. Yeah, middle T. And then here is where it transitions to rear T. So we're going to go through 11 again. I did do a part 1 of this for guys who are interested in maybe checking out that initial run through. I think there was some other courses, like Gokasho was in here when the last time I did it. I think so. The only course that might have been different is maybe Gokasho was in replace of Milano last time that we did that. So we're going to try to run through and just do another version here. There's a specific thing that I need here. So when I go to my screen here, ace in the hole, Tour 11 or above. So, why not? We'll try to make a run for an ace if we can. I have to try to get it done this week. Sometimes I feel maybe Tour 12 is a good tour for that. Let me see what the course list is on that one. Greenwich Point, if you could get that shootout, especially the funnel one, very easy to take care of a hole-in-one. If you can get that funnel, one of the funnels. There's a couple funnels, but one primarily. That's a really good course for it. This one, the shootouts aren't too bad. I know them pretty well. So I think I could just as easily get hole-in-one here. In fact, last week I got one, at least a couple. Just, not doing anything aggressive. I haven't been playing the game a lot, but was still able to get some hole-in-ones, a couple last week. So hopefully, we're going to primarily pretty much just use Kingmaker here. So nice short ball. I'm assuming that's kind of the standard, maybe Titans. Well, I use that term loosely because the standard seems to be when everybody I play win 45, win 55. I swear almost all my opponents are using win 55 balls. So that's what I would expect to see in the stream. So maybe that's more of the standard than I expect. But I also think people have kind of exhausted through their KMs and it's harder to replace anymore. So you kind of have to evolve into something else because eventually you'll run out of Kingsmakers because you can't replace them nearly as easily as you used to be. It's a ball that's being phased out. Wanted to just jump over here briefly, talk about this real quick in the Ultimate Golf Game Hub here. For those of you who didn't see my posts over in Notebook, this tournament right here, you can see Boss Battle versus me. I've put the guides online. Basically, as soon as you hop in this, regardless of what your bag looks like, it doesn't matter what clubs you have. So, for instance, it can be your first day in but you can see I have, this is an account I'm progressing over there, but it's a fixed bag tournament. So as soon as you jump in my tournament over here, So if I was to just go hit the enter button, like I said, you can kind of download it on the fly and just kind of give that game a chance. I do have a ring app over there to help you guys dial in adjustments, but this is a fixed bag tournament, so you're using all the best clubs in the game over here for this event. So you can see Fusion 7, it's kind of like Thor's Hammer 7. Hellfire, it's kind of like Cataclysm. Lightning Rod, it's very close to B-52. The Rattler's kind of like a Falcon. The Hive is probably even better than Endbringer is. So you're going to drop even more shots with Wedge over on Ultimate Golf. But basically, just to give you guys a gist of the rundown here, it's a fixed bag tournament. So as soon as you go and jump in, start playing some holes, you can win some easy prizes. And you get to play. And like I mentioned, if you download the Guide for Ultimate Golf, this is my ring app for this game. It's going to walk you through the adjustments. As soon as you open this, right at the top here, you're going to see a guide section at the top. These right here, part 1, part 2 videos, these are launchable YouTube videos that will show you directly how to hit all of the shots. So basically, it's fixed wind, and I talk you through the setup. So it's easy to make a transition over there. So just wanted to pitch that to you guys, let you guys know about it. Back here on the Ultimate Golf game, wanted to also show this to new players from the home screen here. So from the home screen, we're talking, there's a megaphone in the top left corner. If you have a brand new account, down where it says promo code right here, you can input the code ZAC22. And as soon as you input and press this, it'll give you free balls, free in-game cash, and some good starter clubs as well. This is it's dependent upon you actually having an account, a freshly new created account. So the only way you can do that promo code is with a brand new account. It had to be created this week, essentially. But it's gonna, you know, that code's gonna be valid even next week. You would just have to start a brand new code at a later date. It's just dependent that you have a brand new account set up. So here we are. I'm back on Golf Clash here. And you can see my standard bag here. We got the Epoch, Cataclysm, B-52, Falcon, Endbringer, Nirvana Spitfire. We're going to roll with this bag. So a nice bag for Tour 11. I do feel Cataclysm over Sniper. You get a little bit more advantage with a little bit longer wood approach. So you'll be able to hit much better wood approach shots for shootouts with having that extra length. So that's why we're going to go with that. So let's jump in here and we'll pop straight into our 11. That Ultimate Golf tournament as well, it should run a couple days for guys interested in checking out that game. Even if you played it yesterday, you can still play it today, like that type of thing. So it gives you a couple of nice opportunities to win some free balls and get started over there as like a carryover event. And it's still going to run, you know, even if you don't catch this stream until tomorrow, the next day, it's going to run all week for that tournament over there. So definitely worth checking out and getting a feel for that game. It's definitely a really fun, more of a real feel than this game. This game has, you know, definitely some cool shots that you can hit, but especially when we start to talk about, like, you know, full curl shots, stuff like that, that game's a little bit more realistic. So the parameters are a little bit more locked down over there. Both games, you know, have entertainment value though, for sure. So that's pretty similar to how I play this one. We're just going to get off the tee here. Nothing too fancy. A little bit of topspin. Max plus 10, right around ring. I'm just going to go about wind rings with some curl. See if I can get that last practice token unlocked. You can see I've been really fighting to get that last one. It's been a little aggressive to get. I played the tournament. I must have played 20 holes in a row just to get the last. So during the tournament, I was trying to do the same thing, get the very last slot open. I must have played 20 holes before it actually happened. Definitely gets a little frustrating when you get down to this 5-6 sometimes, and then other times it'll pop up immediately. Pretty nice shot. That's pretty similar to the way that I play it. Let's just see what my setup's going to look like. When you hover this right-hand side, you don't have to worry as much about it going out of range on you. So that's why I was a little aggressive, kind of hanging to the right instead of hanging towards the left. 8.475. You might need some kind of overplay for winds like this. What I find, which is interesting though, whatever you leave the ball guide, you don't get near as much effect on this hole as I feel you should. So you can see that I'm really not offsetting this guide a lot. I feel like for this hole specifically and this shot, definitely tends to kind of just stick to what you see. It doesn't really alter much. Thanks, Ronnie. Appreciate you being here. Let's see how this looks. Of course, this one was affected kind of tremendously, it seems. I know I probably should have overplayed that a little bit, but that's one of the times that you could see definitely ball guide, definitely gearing towards the left. I've had a lot of shots that I've played, and I feel more times than not, the more that I kind of keep that ball guide kind of similar to the hole, it just kind of shoots right back towards. It's probably pretty light on my adjustment there. Even going max still wasn't enough. But nevertheless, we're trying to get a hole-in-one anyway. So, you know, I'm not too worried about these holes. It's going to be more about shootout shots. I do like this shootout. Let's see what this one looks like. I don't like that win though, but I do like this shootout. I don't know what I want to do here. I'm very, very concerned about this wind a little bit. %, give or take. We're going to try this, see what it looks like. Of course, we're going to counter with some curl as well. Ah, got a great ball there. Not too bad overall. Great ball might have probably ended up helping that. Probably a little heavy with a tailwind. That would have been side wind. I think 20 would have been good. Maybe 10 in this situation, one less ring. I was probably good on a side wind. The only reason I didn't go for this shot was the wind direction. I didn't really like that it was pointed down. I feel a little bit more I feel a little bit better when it's a little bit different wind angle here. More side, maybe a little bit in the face. With the tailwind, you see that the last second there, he pulled back. It's like I feel like that's, and he short hit it too. So I feel like there's a lot of that needs to happen. And since I haven't practiced that shot, I didn't hit it that way. But I think we beat that. So it just goes to show that there's kind of like more than two ways to skin a cat, basically. Of course, if that shot is executed well, it brings Holden. Maybe that's the best reason I should have went for that. Is it's probably easier to make the ace that way. But you can see how much he had to factor in for that. And since I haven't seen that wind angle, I didn't want, some variable of me pulling to too high of ground to cost me. So I didn't go for that shot because I already knew. So you could see he did two things. He short hit and he also pulled. He pulled down, I think. Pulled down as well. So he did two things there just to keep that from landing long on him. So if you're playing that and have a similar type shot, make sure that you're doing the same thing. Or as you can see, we can pull it off with a different method. And that's one of the biggest reasons to bring cat is for wins like that. So if you want to be able to hit shots like I just did, you couldn't have done it with sniper. It wouldn't have even been possible. I would have had to go for the bump. It would have closed the potential for what I could have done with my shot. I think honestly, so one of the things that I used to do, I'm assuming that you could still do. So instead of me countering on that and then curling on top of it, I'm pretty sure I could have utilized the right fairway as well. That's the way I used to play it when I was very fluent in this game. I would play left pointed winds on the right fairway and right pointed winds on the left fairway because it just kind of made the shot easier for natural wind effect to just kind of take over the ball guide. But since since I've been back to this game, I haven't played that right fairway once. I didn't want to forget something or not do something correctly. So a lot of times I like going this way. Not going to happen here. So we're just going to play this one safe. I'm pretty sure this is realistically almost the only way you could go. The only exception might be power 5, win 5 or something. But to me, specifically, it seems like a waste in tour. With that being said, though, there is tons of guys using. I was surprised to see my opponent there take a Kingsmaker. Does not happen very often, I feel. Or not often enough. And here's a Titan. This is another free-to-play ball. So a couple guides of this. This, I would say, definitely breaking the norm a little bit. Now, granted, I do still get, I would say, at least 15-20% of people that usually play this balls. but it's usually not even close to 50%. I almost always have to beat wind 5 balls. Almost always. So we're down towards min. Being down towards min. No elevation. And I actually like this because there's usually not a lot of wind effect that needs to be played either. You're going to see my offset being very, very low. You can see it's maybe a grid or so. Nah, my ring value disappeared. 8-1, we're going to go beyond that. I'm thinking 8-6 in this situation since we weren't that close to min. Let's just see how this works out. Pretty good overall. We gave it a good run. Just something was just a little bit too much. In terms of the span there, let's take a look at what 8-6 looks like. 19-20%, somewhere in there when that shot. Definitely. So if I had some advice for some guys trying to, and by all means, I definitely recommend you guys going for the kill shot, trying to win this outright, as opposed to, just saying, oh, I'm just going to rush this adjustment, go to shootout. If you, any time that you can take wins outright, definitely helps your progress. And definitely highly recommend giving 100% on all the shots if you can. As you can see, we gave a brush of the cup. From my personal experience there, you can see my opponent went B52. I went cat and backspin towards min. Always choose probably that min shot because it's basically involved with what I said around my setup. I'm not going to have to use a lot of ball guide deflection. Like, it's going to be so minimal. It's such a small amount at min club. Never pass up the opportunity to hit a min shot. So opponent first here, that wind, I'm thinking plus 10%, maybe plus 15, somewhere in between plus 10, plus 15 and the max number for this wind is what I would use. I think the advantage goes to me. This is kind of my shot to lose when you're playing a Titan, because my win should be right around 10. So, when you have to play an 11, you kind of have to look at this as like, this is mine to win. I kind of choked it away if I didn't. That type of thing. So like I mentioned, we're going to be right around 10. Where my opponent had a 13, he had to factor in more than I do. So we'll do 10% here. Try to find a nice spot. And other than that, you can see I'm utilizing a lot of backspin. 9-7 rings. Plus wind effect. You can see I'm keeping that ball guide intentionally. Almost got it there. One off of the bullet. And almost got the ace. Would have been nice to take care of it right there. But all things considered, still a pretty nice shootout shot. We get the win. Put it a yard. Get your perfect balls. Play your wind effect. You'll give yourself a lot of good opportunities to win in this tour. And like I said, this stream was kind of dedicated to somebody who reached out to me and just said, I'm having trouble transition tour 10 to tour 11. So I basically created this stream for him. But hopefully some other guys can benefit. It's tough going from especially 10 to 11, because when we're talking middle tee versus back tee, it's a different ball game. You just went from hitting, more long iron wood into the shootout, and then you're transitioning into driver 3 wood, that type of thing. So it's definitely a little bit more difficult transition. Hopefully, you do have enough kingmakers. If you did have to play that with, Titan, it's not the end of the world. It's still very it would have been very similar adjustment. You would have just had to factor in a little bit more for the win, just a touch. So when we talk about this shot with the 13, we're talking about 12.8. However, my offset needs to be more. So you could see what my ball guide looked like. It just needs to be fractionally more. We're talking about maybe a grid's worth. So whatever the direction of the wind is, I would have just pulled back a little bit more down, a little bit more left by a grid or so. Pretty nice wind here. Sometimes you get a lot of straight in the face on this one. Makes it into a longer hole. Pretty much anything by the fairway up there is pretty much all I shoot for. I don't get too worried about did I go in the rough, that type of thing. I probably try to play this very similar to what my opponent just did. Sometimes, especially with a tailwind, I might go for second fairway hop as opposed to that rough hop. But all things considered, even if you go in the rough here, you don't really got to worry too much. I usually play pretty close to max plus 10, which in my case would be about 8.6. I'm going to go slightly less than that and just kind of counter it a little. Great ball, might end up costing me. But like I said, you don't have to be in the fairway here. It's not a requirement for this hole. You can, and that's one of the reasons that I kind of just go for this shot and like actually go for it, is because of the fact that you have some room for error. Now, I would have probably been better off playing that rough bump like my opponent, because in my case, with the great ball, you can see it calls me to third bounce the rough. My opponent's second bounce the rough, so he got the advantage here. He's going to have a better look at this than me. Superman, I don't know. The guess, my best guess here is probably no. And the biggest reason why, we never got any help from the developers of Golf Clash, and it's just a time thing. Even if we put those in there, I'm not going to be bulk creating content. It's just so much time. I think people, they underestimate how much time goes into building the app, building guides. Even these streams that I do, they're so time committal. It's just so much time that goes into this stuff. I'm not really pulling in really any income, especially from a stream standpoint anymore. So it's just like so little that it's just like it's too much work than what it's unfortunately it's just the way it is. So I wouldn't expect it, but you never know, I guess, is the best thing that I could say. I try not to use words like never, and because that makes it like final absolute, but there's no intent to is the best way to say. I think it's kind of like, so when I left here originally and kind of stopped streaming over on Golf Clash, I didn't even finalize. I didn't even like say, I'll never come back to that. Like, It's because, I know there's always a possibility, and more so than anything, this is for the fans. Um, there's a couple people. I know it's such a small set. There's probably only a couple hundred guys that are even paying attention to my stuff, which is understandable. Like, I get it. I've been gone for so long. So on this one, I usually go about plus 20%, 13, 13, 9, max plus 20%. I should maybe. I haven't played this one in a while. Usually I'll curl this. I'm not going to in this situation, because this wind's so strong. This is not my favorite wind, though. Like I mentioned, usually I'd curl this. Maybe you can see on my screen it would be a slight curl. I just don't think it needs it here. As you see that it's going to kind of come in nice. Maybe I could have a little, or I could have just underpulled just slightly. We're talking about like maybe 0.3 rings to heavy. So if I would have went 0.3 less, that would have been a good solid adjustment, or I could have slight curled it. Like I mentioned before I hit that shot, I probably would have curled that. But the wind was so strong that I just kind of made an executive decision there that not going to curl. And let's see how this works. He did a very similar adjustment to me. So let's just see how, and it's weird because I feel like it didn't take the same line as me. The adjustment was similar. The spin was similar, and you can see he just wound up closer. So it kind of seems like luck of the draw more so than anything. I guess I didn't fully watch the ring pull, but this is kind of the case. Maybe that was just a slight under pull. So slight under pull there, favorable in that situation with that wind. It was a game of inches. 0.2, like I'm 0.2 rings from winning that shootout, kind of. You just have to be very precise in some cases. Thanks, Jay. Not going so well on tournaments. I've been playing with Kingmaker and Berserkers, and with Kingmaker and Berserker, you're really putting yourself at a disadvantage. It's very tough to win with those balls, especially up here in Masters. So for those who don't know, we've been doing a couple Masters stream. I'll probably do one on Thursday. My plan is on Thursday is to just qualify. It's going to be kind of soft brackets. I'm not going to be necessarily too worried about my tiebreaker. I'd like to just qualify on Thursday and stop hemorrhaging balls. Because definitely I'm starting to feel it. Like I kind of feel once my balls go out, like I'm probably not going to replenish them. So I feel like you kind of have, there's definitely a limited time on me being back here. This is my only account. I'm not planning on opening other ones. It's pretty hard to play this game anymore at a competitive level. It's almost like they they definitely made a way that it's like you kind of have to do those things like invest in the ball packs and stuff like that, or else you're really you might be able to get away with Kingslayers and Loomies, but I don't even have those yet. So it's gonna be a tough road for me to climb regardless. Still missed there. Let's see how this plays out. Just hoping that it stayed in the fairway, but it didn't. We should be close enough from there that it's not a deal breaker. There's almost no wind that they can give us that we're really out of this hole. But yes, obviously better to keep that in the fairway. Makes for a much easier approach shot. So let's see what we can do here. 12 wind. Let's get this into play. 9 rings. Maybe a little heavy if you're thinking about wind effects, stuff like that. Better to be safe than sorry. So maybe I'm going to aim over here. And go about 10 rings. Not worth getting aggressive there. So you can see I'm just kind of bouncing it up there. Not too worried about my guide doing anything crazy. Usually you don't want to tank this hole and bring birdie into the equation because you pretty much lose 100%. You know, maybe you get that one lucky instance where you actually meet a replay where they both birdied, but most live guys for sure are going to kind of tear that one up. And it looks like we actually did. I don't know if that was live opponent or not. Obviously it wasn't. I guess that kind of proves it by him raging. And then dropping a cookie on me. Whatever that's supposed to mean. I don't think I could have cared one way or the other if that guy won. So that's why I just try to stick away from emojis anyway, because it's just kind of like, I don't even know how to interpret this. Like, is this a good thing? Is this... Superman, that's good if you got some silvers. And especially if you're up in tier 3 pro, like I went through that and it was definitely tricky. I did get a silver as well up there when I was coming back through on my way up to Masters. But it almost felt like luck more so than anything. Because pretty much I feel at every level of the game, everybody was, whether it be tournament or, you know, rookie, pro, expert, they're all using Win 55 balls. So it's like, and there is the occasional, you know, minus 45s. There's certain situations where, you know, they're advantageous, but definitely if you look at the normal person you play against, it's definitely a very competitive field. And I don't have a lot of those balls left at all from my original set. And I guess I'm not really planning on you know, picking them up either. So that was a pretty nice shot there. It'd be nice to do something similar. I have no idea if I can. Take off some topspin. We're going to land about here. There's the wind right there. I'm going to go 10 rings. We're going to go 20 rings. Ah, just clipped the bunker there. That's probably it. That's more or less what I had to go for there, because I know mine was probably running into that rough. His shot was executed very well. With the extra wind, with everything considered, I don't think I was pulling off his exact shot. And you can see it almost rolled into the rough anyway. So there was definitely a luck component to that. And I was just trying to hopefully hit that more into the bulk of the fairway, which we still wound up in anyway. So I guess it worked out. I've never even played the shot from here, but figured why not? You know, when we're streaming, let's just try some cool stuff. You can see you almost made that. It gives you a good look at Alba if you can get up there for B52 rough bump. So why not? I want to take a look at my position. This feels very uphill, or at least somewhat uphill. So with that being said, I'm going to try to stick to the consistent spot, which feels like up over here a little bit more. Maybe not. Maybe there isn't really an actual spot that's consistent over here. So I'm thinking 5.5, close to mid club here. We're also gonna try to make sure that we don't land short. So push up just a touch, and hopefully not great ball. That's too much ring play. Maybe not. Hard to tell what went wrong there. I did push up. Maybe it wasn't enough. I feel like usually when I push up, especially with things like Cataclysm, it's always enough. So I feel like I probably went too much there. So even 5.5, probably too heavy. I kind of forgot where I was in that min max span. So if I forgot and I was more towards the min line, maybe I should have stayed, 0.3 less or something. Thanks, John. Thanks for showing up and checking out the stream. We're just kind of messing around in tour. This is not the one I wanted to see. That's a good win, though. I wish I remembered this adjustment. That's the biggest thing that I'm worried about, is I don't remember how much that I need to play here. I'm actually surprised to see this. I'm very interested in seeing how this one works out. You basically have to hit all the fairways in all the perfect spots. It's been so... look at that. I mean, it just barely touched the fairway. So it was like a ring or less from not even being anywhere near. And this is what I was going to go for, and I forget. It's been weeks since I've seen this spot. So, may or may not work out. There's a percentage to where it can. I feel like it's still max plus something. I just forget what. At least 15, I'm thinking. Maybe even 20. I'm probably going to go almost 10 rings. I got my last. I'll take it. Even if it doesn't work out, I'll take it. It still wasn't enough. So we lost that shootout. It still wasn't enough, even at max plus whatever that is. 10 rings, 25. It's still short landed. I realistically, I think that was probably very close. This is probably very close to the adjustment with like a win 5. But what I feel is happening, I'm pulling the target so much lower ground that it's just landing shorter and shorter and shorter, more so than anything. So it's like there's almost no way you can overpull that. It's kind of the way that it feels, because it's something ridiculous. It's probably something way up here. 11.5, 12 rings. I know with the sniper, I usually play, it's something crazy as well, or cat. And another thing I could have done is I could have done, maybe a rough or trickle down. I could have done very similar to what he did, but try to trickle it off that last rough. Would have been another way to play it. But I kind of wanted to get that back in my memory bank, because I know if I execute that and actually pull the right amount, especially if you see your opponent 7 yards, all you have to do is hit that rough and you win, is basically what it comes down to. So either way, you can kind of use that to your advantage. If you do get yourself in a situation, just keep in mind that it's a very large adjustment. But a little bit more adjustment there and you might get it. It's definitely what Superman, what you're mentioning there, definitely win specific. I think the difference versus a 7 win versus a 13, it's really gonna test your patience more so than just being a set adjustment. And that's one of the reasons that, because I definitely feel with a small wind, I was probably perfect with that adjustment. Whatever the tool gave me was probably perfect. But as you get larger and larger, definitely increases the difficulty level. Didn't want that one. I don't think it'll matter because I created enough tolerance. I was just on max there with the great ball there. You can see kind of shooting out to the left a little bit more, which is fine. It's towards the hole. I didn't think it was going to cost me, especially with the left pointed wind, but I went basically just straight up max there. 9 something rings for a 10, that type of thing. Wind -1 is basically what it is with a POC 8. So if I ever want to go max, it's just wind -1, or it's very close to wind -1. So I saw we finally got that last practice token. So I should have switched. I should have switched clubs there. Oh boy. Well, so my opponent's easily making the green. Kind of feeling something like this. I want to do something with a little bit more controlled. 11 rings with some curl, something to that effect. It's kind of the way that I'd prefer to. Did I want to push up? I think I did. I'm going to mostly push up. Trying to do something a little bit more controlled here. I almost went max and I talked myself out of it. I actually wanted to curl that a little bit more aggressive. So you can see just a little bit in the bunker. Probably shouldn't have played it that way. Little risky. I needed to see this hole again, or seeing that miss, I would have known, yeah, just blast it. You're good. But I wanted to hit a little bit more controlled shot, try to get it in the right part of the fairway there, and get it up onto the green, which is very similar to what my opponent's doing. Just kind of land it near the edge, try to get it over the bunker. This is a waste, like to me, me personally, especially, waste of a Lumi ball. I've never pulled this out for tour. I just don't have them. I don't have them to pull out, so. Of course, this hole would have played a lot easier had I had it. I wouldn't have had to worry nearly as much as I had to. Not sure where the fringe is there. Maybe 5 or 6%. It's a small adjustment here. Very small adjustment uphill. A little outside cup. Ah, called a great ball. No, we're not going to make the shootout for sure. Especially great ball left. I feel like because that was definitely enough wind. So if anything, I could have great balled it right. I don't feel, honestly, especially from the sand, I don't feel I get an honest look at sand shots. So I almost don't even try to memorize the timing anymore because I just feel like it just skips over. There's like at least 50-60% chance that it's just going to skip over perfect anyway. So I just not too concerned about it. But the biggest thing that you want to do is just not put yourself in that situation. You would have been better off not playing it the way that I did. I was just kind of messing around more so than anything. It wasn't a very safe shot. It's probably not the best way to do this. Try to hop it over the bunker. But when you pull it off, you know that you're on the green. You don't have to worry about the situation. So that's the advantage. What's up, JS? Thanks for showing up. Just hanging out a little bit. We're going to keep going through a couple more of these tours. Oh, let me back out real quick. I mentioned this. There was something else that I wanted to... Where's my fried chicken thing? It's in here. Okay. I think, what's the other one? Soccer or something that I have to do? So soccer is full. We're going to go soccer. Get the whole explosion started. Might as well. It's not the easiest to draw these out. So when you finally get that one instant, especially you could see, you know, from 5 to 6 there, you guys must have saw me play however many holes that was. And it's like I blanket on all of them. And I had already probably played another half dozen holes as well just to get that last one. So it's just sometimes, you know, you just get in that loop where it just ain't going to happen. Yep, pretty much. That's what it feels like, Dave. Dale. Milano 9. Interesting hole. I think we can get there. So we're going to try to. I think it's something along the lines of over here for full curl. At least 10 rings. 10 rings plus some. I'm still shooting blanks with this. I should have switched to T. I didn't even see that we got it over on that one. Well, we made the fairway there. That's a good start. Maybe with the tailwind, we'll be in business here. That's one of the definite reasons to go for that curl shot more so than straight at it. Now, what's the power on this one? That's power 3. Oh, of course. Power 5 ball. So with the power 5 ball, easily going to make it to that. I feel like a lot of times the reason to do this is to maybe grab the eagle. Of course, you never know what the second wind is. So to me, like, this is a waste of a ball. because you can get shut out immediately. And not to mention, I'd rather lose Tour 11 than use a powered 5 ball. So same thing, if you wanted to get a little bit longer distance there, still the best way to do it would be full curl. You can see he's, what, 11 yards ahead of me. That's not very significant. Of course, it will play out that way. That 11 yards is going to be pretty important for landing on this fairway in this one situation. But we're also going to be able to get it. And we're going to curl on top. Try to stay out of that sand. Get herself as close as possible. Still gives you a reasonable chance for eagle on this one. So let's see what we got here. For Nirvana, I usually do a rough bump here. I'm assuming I'm going to be good to do so. Nirvana's over here. This is 15, 16%. Of course, this is an uphill shot. Can't do it. It was too close. Too close. That is frustrating. Well, we'll play the shot similar, just over the rough. Oh, I have no idea how that missed. It looked like it went over the cup. In fact, if you look at the alignment, that just looks ridiculous that missed. It looks like it somehow found a way not only to miss the pin, but jump on the cup's edge. That was robbery right there. I would definitely recommend that dunk shot. You see the opponent hit. It's the same thing I would try to do there. Felt like maybe a little too much wind, but I'm assuming maybe the wind was fine. It was just a great ball thing. But I feel like personally, great ball there should have been right on the edge if it was the right wind. And it definitely seemed outside a bit. I think he probably went too much for the wind. It's pretty easy to get like a like a great ball and still make that. You could definitely cheat the side of the cup and go for, like, if you could isolate great right only, great right and perfect would definitely go in that close. Absolutely 100%. So you would just have to get the wind close enough, play the wind good enough, close enough that you're kind of in between there. So this is the same hole we already played. Let's just see where our opponent is. Very similar wind. So with that being said, with the wind being similar, I'm just interested in seeing where this is in proximity to the hole. Because I feel, I can definitely beat. Here you see 216. Of course, I could have paid attention, and I probably could still play it that exact same way as well. But I feel like I can kind of win this 2 different ways, maybe even 3 if I... this might not be the greatest win, though, for this. This is more tail. This might be a little bit more tail. Just kind of forcing my hand here a little bit. So great left. See if it's close enough. The tolerance is good enough. We're good. So if you want to see playing on the fly very quick, I'm pretty good at rapid adjustments. As you can see, I always waste a lot of time not paying attention, but I still kind of know what I'm doing to an extent. Sometimes my clock management skills not the greatest. You can see that's a perfect example. But it doesn't mean that, I played myself out of the shot entirely just because I have to rush something. So let's go and find another tee that I can use. Here's one. Soundman, what's up? How's it going? We'll do a couple more holes. I think it's been about an hour on this stream. I'll do a little bit more. I think we've got some really creative angles on it. Actually, we've actually seen a lot that I haven't even seen in a very long time playing this tour. So it's interesting to just come on and see some unusual shots that are just a little bit outside of my confidence level, just because I just haven't had exposure to them. There's been at least, 2 shots that I probably haven't even seen or even holes for that matter, that I haven't even seen in a month. So it's like, you just never know with situations like that, how things are going to go. So let's see what we can do here. I don't want to get too aggressive on this hole. That's one of the things I don't like to do. So you don't want to play yourself out of this one. I'm just going to go wind rings with some curl. Call it a day. Of course, wind is very close to max plus 10. Still not enough curl. Jeez. It's one of the main reasons I don't like getting aggressive here. You're not necessarily screwed even when you drive it like that. And one of the biggest reasons why is you still, no matter what, you have the pitch. You can't say, I'm absolutely going to not get this hole. Even with, and there's two different, you can still get tailwind. Even brutally in the face, we're still going to have a falcon shot. Falcon, it's always makeable. So even if you go in the rough, it's like, you know, we're still okay. So same amount of curl I'm used. I'm assuming just maybe a different starting point, a little bit more aggressive to the right. That was the exact same curl that I used. And as you can see, right down the middle, no issues. And sure enough, there it is. So now I have a decision to make. You know, do I blast it or do I just play the falcon shot? Because it's hard to just say, oh, you know, let's just kind of intentionally put this in the rough. That might not necessarily be the best approach. Because I feel like down there, right at the very last tip of the fairway, I feel at least 50-50 minimum to make it from the very tip of the fairway there. So this might not be the greatest decision making going for this, because then now you bring perfect ball more into the equation. I think your falcon shot is probably the safer, but you can see what I think about the safe shot because I absolutely didn't do it. It seems less exciting for stream too. So let's just blast it, see what happens. You can see how that shot turned out. Little bit short. Let's see what I can do here. Small adjustment fringe we're looking at. 6 or 7%, somewhere small. Very small. What's up, Steve? How's it going? Thanks for showing up. We're going to have to go beyond 6, 7. That's going to be 10%, somewhere around there. This even, you know, this should still be burn the edge or closer. Even doing the beat it up here method. I mean, honestly, this adjustment, it barely left the cup's edge. And sure enough, there it is. Kind of like I mentioned, you know, either or, that type thing. We can get it from the rough. We could get it from the edge of the fairway. Of course, the edge of the fairway might be the more practical. If perfect ball was not in the equation, I would just do the rough every time. Or, so perfect example, precision ball, I would do that rough shot. Because it's closer, less wind effect, less variable to miss. Here we are. Let's see what we get in terms of the wind here. Very similar to the wind that I already screwed up. This is a different wind angle, though. I feel like going first, I'm kind of forced into this. I know I want to go at least plus 30 here. 12 rings. But we're also going to do inner pull angle here, as you can see. We're going to do this kind of a weird method too. So it's a little bit funky for my opponent in the event that I pull this off. At least it makes him earn his own shot. But we hit outside anyway. So it's going to be a little bit off. Perfect ball would have been pretty close. We did kind of a funky, but we did do 12. 12 some. 12, maybe 12.5, 12.6, somewhere in there. but I kind of did it in like 3 pulls, so it just looks weird. What's up, Golf Clash Idiot? Or Italy, sorry about that. We've been in here for a little bit over an hour. I've had some pretty good shots. That one worked out so-so. I could have used without that great ball. I'm going for a hole-in-one. Would have been nice. This is tough. This is tough because it's kind of the same situation that I just had. You're pulling down to such a low ground. Yeah, so see, do you see how much he pulled up there? He pulled up at least, it was solid, at least a full ring. I mean, it was a substantial push-up. But as you can see, didn't run out. So our shot, worked out in that situation. I'm using a Note 10 right now, Bearvon. I definitely prefer phones to pads. And I do have a Tab 7 Plus. The needle stability for me, I don't have full control over the needle. I can't get full control over the needle. So I definitely prefer phone to pretty much any, like maybe the exception is maybe like an iPad Pro or something, like something that's just like super responsive. That's kind of what I'm looking for. But there's also been a lot of streamers that can really use those Samsung tabs and they can just master it. They just master kind of, it's like a slight lag, and I can still do it. I just I don't like it because I feel like, and I can see it visually. It's like maybe 0.2 seconds of delay. I mean, it's the smallest. It's like from going from great to perfect. But you got to time it. Like you essentially have to time releasing early. And I'm just not a huge fan of devices that do that. Note 10, especially once you use, there's this Game Booster Plus that you can use, which increases your frames per second, makes priority performance only, and you can really get a very responsive on some of these Samsung phones. But I definitely give edge, like for me personally, I prefer playing on phone versus tabs. There's a lot of guys that prefer playing on tabs. They like the bigger screen. I do like that, being able to adjust better. But it's not my preferred needle timing. Yeah, Salman, I think I was gone at least 2 years, probably 2 years, 3 months. It was a good while. I definitely still feel my time's a little bit limited here. There's only so much that I feel like I'll be back. I'm back at a limited capacity, and I'm kind of transitioning between a couple jobs right now. So I guess once I, get grounded and figure out exactly my next path, it's going to kind of mess around with my availability a little bit, I'm assuming. So, but the goal is just to kind of put out a couple good streams that guys can benefit from. And like I mentioned, like somebody in the comment section of one of my other posts, they mentioned, they were having tough time transitioning from Tour 10 to Tour 11. So I decided to come back and we did some more Tour 11 just to make that transition thought process, like hopefully get some guys on the right page. That ball seemed killed. I have no idea what it was, but I feel like I probably just lost this one is the way that it feels, because there is no way my ball's going to be up there. So what we're going to do is hopefully focus on getting this in the fairway. Over adjust, I'm thinking 10, 11 rings, plus overpower, slight curl. Don't be early on the timing, which I wasn't. But I don't know if I wanted to be that late, Let's just see how it works out. Nope. So I either should have curled it more, or I should have gone more for that perfect. I feel like I was kind of late intentionally, where I feel like I should have just pulled an extra ring and just said, don't worry about it. Because I definitely talked myself into that 2-ring great ball to the left there. Thanks, Jan. We'll see how it goes. We had some good success here, but I've also played a couple holes pretty lackluster. This is one of them. With that being said, who knows? They might get, eventually they have to give me a perfect ball from the sand. So this may be it. 1-8. I think this is, if anything, heavy, just because it's so uphill. So uphill that I would recommend going under, which is what you see me doing intentionally. Felt there was a chance I was slight late there. Most of the time, I think I'm on perfect, and it just skips over. That one, I think I was late on. I could definitely feel I was waiting for it to get there. But with that being said, I still feel like I released, and it just kept going a little bit. So hard to know for sure. Let's keep going. We'll do a couple more. Not the greatest wind. I'm assuming my opponent, he used a really nice ball to just kind of take a really nice aggressive wave for that hole. With Kingmaker, there's only so much I can do. The best thing I could do was just put that in the fairway and give myself a straight on pitch. Probably still could have made it. But that 2-ring great ball left took me out of that one. So let's keep rolling. We'll do a couple more to see how it goes. We've had reasonable success on this stream. A couple times I think I've got maybe a little more aggressive than I should have. We've done pretty well on the shootouts overall, which is kind of the intent, you know, give some of those guys who need that shootout practice some good things to go off of. And I definitely think, you know, we succeeded in that goal. So some definitely good holes in this stream. If you're struggling to migrate to that third tee box, definitely worth the check out. So we're going to come down here. We'll do max plus 10. Seems plenty. Which is about 12.5 rings. Some curl. Great right. I wasn't going for. Well, we've done really well with this tee so far. So that's what? Four gone already? What's up, Scar2? Thanks for showing up. Same with you, Jan. Hopefully you guys are well and killing it. We're going to go for Thursday. I'm going to try to qualify. I'm not worried about, like, I kind of want to stop basically just throwing away balls. So, especially since it's such a short setup, 9 and 9. My goal is to hopefully, you know, I'll try to stream on Thursday and just try to qualify and stop hemorrhaging all these balls. Wow, tailwind here. Not used to seeing that for this one. I'm thinking max straight up should be pretty good in this scenario. A bar and a half of backspin. A lot of curl. Lot of curl. This is almost max. Maybe should have just stuck with about 80% of max, which would have been. Did I great righted it though? Sometimes this fairway just kind of eludes me. I have trouble getting this one dialed in all different wind directions. It's very, very tricky. Wow, that was severe overplay there. Yeah, Salman, I think you're right on that. That I do 90% of the time I focus more on the stream than I actually do my rounds. That's where you'll definitely see some clock management where I'm not. And when I actually play on my own, I think I'm 90% of the time better with that, to where I just go in and mentally I'm not in two places at one time. Like I'm full focus. I don't have to worry about. Now, I still get carried away with my clock management sometimes, but it's not nearly as bad. So let's see what the shootout looks like here. We haven't had this one today yet. This is always wind dependent. That's probably the last wind that I wanted to see, because I'm probably going to go for something I shouldn't. I don't even think I've seen this wind on this hole yet. But I can't believe this guy's going for this shot. Oh, well, I guess that there is one way of doing it, which is a pock and just know how many to go for a pock. That might not be the worst thing that you could do. Probably Thor's Hammer is probably your best. For this wind, if you would have had Thor's Hammer, ooh, great ball. I feel Thor's Hammer and over here to the left is kind of your best bet. This is kind of a small wind for me to do this shot with a pock, but I still think it's possible. I'm thinking something along the lines of max, give or take. So 8-7. I have not seen this win though. So let's just assume that I went 2 rings already. And we're going to go 6 total, 6 more. Maybe just a little bit more than 6. Ah, it hit the tree. I didn't even think that was possible, honestly. Like I've played from that tee box before. I've played that shot. The only thing I can think of is I'm just a little bit too far to the left, because I think literally that's the first time in my entire life I've ever hit that tree. So maybe a little bit too much curl. I could have came in on that curl. I could have set up a little bit more right. You definitely should not be in that tree. I feel there's no reason to be there. I should have had an easy win there. I would have went for the rough bump, but I didn't want to do the same mistake, which is potentially hit the fairway on an over adjust. I probably would have went, like, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I probably would have went pretty close to max on the rough bump shot. Very close. Because I know it tries to short land on you on that one too. So pretty much go max on this, which will be about 10 rings for me, a Pak 8. Wow, so we only have one pull on this tee already. I've only played a couple holes. So that's pretty good. We were very efficient on this tee. Steve, are you saying there rough bump mid club on that last one? Like if I would have went 7 rings on whatever my win there was? I would have done it, but I just hadn't even seen that wind. It seemed safer. It seemed like there was no way I could lose with the shot I was hitting, which means that I severely misplayed that shot because when you're playing against 19 yards, I shouldn't have been more than... I should be able to execute that shot to within 5 yards, I felt, and that's the reason I went for it. Because there's like no situation that I feel you should be more than 5 yards on that fairway bump that I just tried to do. I'm going to go a lot of rings here. A lot of rings. At least 13.9. It was about 14.5, still light. Just gives you some perspective of where I'm at. And if we're talking slider, 14.6 on the max. If we're talking slider, it was probably somewhere up here. Plus 10, plus 15, somewhere in between there. Because the slider was probably 90% or so for that shot. More so than anything, it's just because of the high wind. You need so much more wind effect when you're talking 12 miles per hour versus 10 miles per hour. So you have to go less overplay. So my opponent will go less here. So let's see what the shootout is on this one. Not my favorite shootout hole. Let's see what we can do. Oh, definitely not my favorite shootout wind. That's for sure. 100% on that. 1, 2, 3, 11. Something like this with some curl. Maybe 11.59 if I can. Ugh. Didn't quite pick my spot right. That should have been just a little bit more right, a little bit longer. We probably would have been okay. My win was so large, I just got a little too cautious. because I know how easy it is to just launch this, especially when I don't have Thor's hammer. So you can really crank the spin up on this. I'm surprised that he's only going that much. That seems light for sure. Of course, it would come down to ring pull, but this definitely seems like this one's going to be long as well, even with a much smaller wind. This definitely seems long to me. I know a decent amount of this hole. I definitely feel like I got kind of a raw deal there. Just a little overplay. We could have wound up a little bit better. We could have definitely won that one. I just think my initial startup should have just been just a tad bit more aggressive. So all of a sudden, as you can see, I feel like you get on the wrong side of things if you're not careful in this store. But, you know, I always bounce back, and that's kind of what, you know, I recommend. It's either one of two things. You either take a break and just kind of mentally reset, or if you come back to this, especially if you know all the shots, it's like you just don't get carried away, and it's pretty easy to get back on the right track of things. Even up at this level, because the shots are all over the place. You can see he gave me more than enough opportunity. And honestly, if even if the roles were reversed, if he would have went first and used that backspin, I already knew it was going to be long. I could have easily made a tweak on his shot and put myself in a great position to win it. So it really just came down to who's going first, more so than anything. So, especially with the Kingmaker balls, you definitely have to play this pretty conservative. I've had wins like this where opponents will go power 5, win 5, you know, and maybe they get something positive to happen out of it. Let's see if is that what this is? Yeah. So, what do you do? It still requires 2 good wins. Even doing this shot, it still requires not only you get the first good wind, you have to also get the second good wind. You can see it barely creeps over. So for me personally, you know, not worth, like that's, I don't even have a ball like that. Let me put it to you that way. That's how good that ball is. So to me, anytime that I see something like that pulled, especially for a Tour 11 win, it's just very excessive. Almost didn't overpower that enough. So that was really close there to the fairway's edge. Not what I intended there. CB, I don't know. I like in terms of developers, definitely the UG guys. They're more innovative. They're not necessarily, and they've also been in the game a lot longer than the Golf Clash guys are. So they've been around a long time. They have some really good, creative, innovative things that they've done. Of course, they had a, you know, very hands-on with the Tiger Woods series. If you guys ever played that, you know, they wrote a lot of that code back in the day for those console games. But in terms of, a concept that pretty much everybody loves, obviously you can see, Playdemic, they kind of wrote the book on a game that just everybody can easily adopt, easily enjoy, that type of thing. So it's kind of tough to say for sure. This is just kind of like different, very different comparisons. I like both for sure. And I would prefer to spend my time over on, I would say, Ultimate Golf. But with that being said, this community is a better community. So if you look at the comparison of communities, I would say this is a much less toxic environment. So it's very tough to say, like, to give an answer on that. That's, not manufactured, either way, I've never directly been involved with either set of developers. So I don't have any motivation to persuade you one way or the other. I have no affiliation with both. So I feel like, if anything, I just give you some honest feedback. And of course, trying both are definitely worth it. And I think from a creative standpoint, long term, Ultimate Golf all day. They're going to keep changing their game. They weekly put out updates, monthly. They're creatively thinking, what do we need to do to evolve this game? Whereas Playdemic, there's been so much that has just been the exact same game for the last 4 to 5 years. Very few elements of this game ever change. So creatively, from a creative standpoint, they're all day long. But this is also, a proven concept. It works. So, kind of stick with what works. That type of thing. This win specifically, this is going to be a very hard win for, no matter where this shot winds up, this is going to be hard for me to beat a Power 5 Win 5. So this is the polar opposite of what we just played. So let's just see where this winds up. Yeah, I don't think I'm beating that, honestly. I don't even know if I can give that 7 yards. That's pretty good shot for this wind. I mean, comparatively, when you see what I have to play against, yes, that shot is well executed. So let's do about here. 7 rings from the max line, give or take. This shot's going to come down to backspin more than anything. Let's just say 3 backspin. At least max plus 10 with a slight pull angle, which is going to be wind rings. You can see that I'm tilting for pull angle. There's 10, 13. Pretty good effort. Pretty good effort. Would be nice to see it hold on, because I definitely feel like I earned that shot. Against the Power 5 Win 5, I'll take it. I had to go full OP. As you can see, it's just, I knew going in that it was just going to be dirty. Like, it's not easy to win that one. I had to give it essentially everything. And if anything, I should have just maybe adjusted my pull angle just a slightly bit more back neutral. So I was maybe a little bit inside too much, because I wanted to land maybe just a little bit more right than that. But that was pretty good shot overall. And that's like everything I had. So it's like you had, especially once you get that a win like that, you got to go full overpower, just the right amount of spin. And of course, if it was 14 or 11, you got to scale back. You can start to add a little bit more backspin, that type of thing. So let's do a couple more. If you guys are in the mood. Like I said, I'll try to come back on Thursday for those of you who might have just joined or might not be watching the whole stream. We'll try to do a qualification of the Masters, whatever the next 9-hole is. I haven't even paid attention. But we'll try to do a 9-hole over there and just kind of mess around a little bit. Hopefully get qualification, because I'd rather qualify on Thursday than Friday, especially for a 9-hole. And then I'll try to focus on getting a good, better shot, a better score for my Saturday round if I start off well. So if you guys caught the other master that I did, the last tournament, I mentioned kind of in stream that like some people were saying, why aren't you using the practice tokens or getting a little bit more dialed? It's because I've already evaluated my round. Like 3 holes in, I'm going to kind of make the decision. Am I going to commit to this round full on, or am I just going to basically finish, get some clam points, that type of thing? So I'm doing more of a strategic save my balls type of approach. So I can give you guys some better shots somewhere better down the road, that type of thing. Oh, wow. I didn't even realize that I overcurled that. What's with this hole? I feel like this is bouncing more right than it ever has. Every time I land on that part of the fairway, it just kicks straight left. I feel like in even in tour 4, I can go full slice there and it'll just bounce straight out. It's like that's the second time I've played this in the stream. I feel like it's bouncing way more right than it ever has. Like that was almost in the rough. And it literally there's no lot, because every time I've landed there for as long as I've remembered, you can pretty much slice as much as you want and not have to worry about being in the rough. Especially with a left pointed wind. So the other one was right pointed, I think. So I've had this one twice in my stream, but I just can't believe where my ball is. Like, how did the ball get over there? I feel like they took away some of this slope here. Close to min. 8 some rings, give or take. Pulling down so low, I feel it's definitely going to short land, and it didn't. Man, I should have pulled the 9th. I think we'll be good from here. I think I chose a good enough spot that will be okay, but I got stuck up there, mainly from underpull. It's because I pulled to such low ground that I was just like, it's still going to be good, even at min. So I underpulled it slightly, and I should have factored in just a hair bit more than I did. typically from the most, as long as you're good on your spot, which I feel I was, there's no reason this should deviate beyond the cup because it's just so few rings of a pull. Even with the great ball, he still hit the pole. So we haven't seen this one yet. Tailwind, not my favorite wind. I feel like I'm a little vulnerable to Thor's hammer. You can actually see a couple guys pull Thor's hammer. They've actually had these. I feel like, honestly, if you're playing holes that you feel you can get by, there's definitely some incentive to use Thor's hammer on this tour. So I definitely would agree with this type of decision and shot making to go through with this. Is the extra backspin. It can be crucial. In fact, this is pretty well played. It's going to be very, very tough for me to beat that shot. And this is kind of a perfect example. And there's a couple, there's 2 or 3 scenarios that it just is very tough for me to beat. Now I can still beat that, but you can see from a consistency basis that is just going to be very good shot. So what we're going to do is we're just going to try to focus on hitting this spot, funnel it down, very similar. You can see I'm playing it to the left with my effect. 7 rings max. I think I need to maybe even go light of that. 6.5 with this wind angle. Of course, you can also see I'm keeping it to the left intentionally. What's that doing? It's taking off a little bit distance because I pulled the higher ground. So let's just see how this turns out. It came through too fast. Usually it checks up a little bit better than that. I feel that was a little bit raw bounce. I didn't get the greatest hop. Maybe just a little bit too much. I was giving that wind too much respect, and I should have been just a little bit more aggressive with my pull up or my push back. That was a little bit down. Maybe it was just a little too much down because that should have really took a checkup bounce there, and it should have at least been competitive. And who knows, maybe I even get the drop rolling down that hill. So we'll do maybe keep this the last one, or maybe do one more after it. Let's just see what the look looks like. So this is going to be, usually what I'll do is set up short. Something to the effect of this. Max rings here. which will be about 8 for me. With this wind, with going into max, which I didn't expect, we're going to go max plus 10. So a slight overpull, overpower. Of course, great left. That felt a little forced great. As long as this is close to max Falcon or min B52, I feel the adjustment's pretty easy either way. So anything in between there is kind of what I shoot for on this hole. This is a much different approach. Let's see how this works out. I'm assuming this is going to be a rough pitch. I don't see that wind angle getting to the fairway. So let's see what this looks like. We did stay in B52, maybe a little bit too much in B52. 5, 10 rings, 15, 20, 25. I'm thinking 30 to 40% of max. Had I played this more, I'd probably have it just a touch more dialed. It's definitely somewhere in here. Wonder if this will try to short hop on me a little. Perfect ball. Just maybe just a hair light on that adjustment. Had the ball guide through the hole, so I don't think that was it. I think if anything, just a hair bit more because it was so direct that I probably pulled into the 40s on my adjustment. Maybe 7.6, 7.7 was probably perfect. But no harm in the shootout. That was kind of the intention of this stream anyway, was to give you guys some shootouts. And of course, we're coming up on 2 hours here, which is kind of what I wanted to do anyway. I kind of wanted to at least give enough of different holes, and I think we've done a really great job of that. A lot of the holes that we've played, but even more importantly, the shootouts, they've all been very unique. We've almost covered a lot of shootouts. So I think we did a good job on this stream, getting the shots, getting the different scenarios that can pop up. It wasn't, because there's been sometimes I've done this and we'll get the shoot 4 times. And this was perfect. I'm just so glad that they gave us one we haven't even done yet. I kind of feel like, I have to do a rough bump here as well. I'm going to try to use his adjustment against him if I can. I kind of know, I definitely kind of know how many rings to go here, but I am also interested. Great ball. That doesn't make sense. Why is it all the way over there? I feel like that's too excessive. That shouldn't have been over there that far. Doesn't make any sense. I can't make any sense out of that. But I still need this ace, and that's why usually I don't even play that. I would never play this way. If I wanted to beat this guy, I would just go for the fairway. I know this shot good enough that I could execute it. Rough bump. Thinking somewhere around plus 10, which is almost win rings. just a hair under. Still couldn't get that last one. Even Wim Rings is heavy. I usually, so if I was playing that one off the fairway, I would use like max plus 10, which is what I would have chose to do. I would have done like max plus 10, maybe max 15, especially if it got like a heavy wind. I would have just kind of overplayed it, but I wanted the ace because I still have a weekly mission to get one ace. So let's try to end on this one. Let's try to end on a good note, see if we can get it. As you can see, this max plus 10 here with the rough bump, not as successful. I should have stayed just a tad bit lighter. 7-1, 7-1, 5% in that scenario. I would have been more plus 10, plus 15 had I been playing the fairway. And they would have been very, very close. It's funny because I actually would have hit a better shot if I went for the fairway shot. And that's the way that I usually play it. But I went for the rough bump there just because it's definitely the way to easily ace that one. It's just going to bounce up there, very consistent. But for tour, I usually always just go for the fairway bounce, plus 10, plus 15 on that wind. Probably plus 10 because the wind was so small. Well, we got this one again. Straight in the face. Who knows? Maybe we'll make the adjustments. I kind of hope we actually go to shootout, just so we, for those that want to actually utilize this stream, especially if they are having difficulty toward 11, just having a little bit more exposure to these. I don't think there's anything wrong with coming into this tour, as long as you're willing to actually do like kingmakers, like I really feel that's really all you need to make this transition. We're gonna go about 10 rings here, just close the max. It's in between max and max plus 10. That checked up a lot. I was hoping for the better rollout. So we're going to be kind of in the same scenario. I like staying more towards min. You can see my opponent here, right? I mean, he must be almost perfect on min. And that's kind of where I wanted to be as well. Anything 10 rings from min, anything that's countable is kind of what I like. So that one came up short, I'm assuming. As I could see, this almost, it can't be live. Like, this is kind of your proof that it's not a live opponent. You saw the emoji come out, and it just kind of dictated the shot as soon as it left the ground there. This is 30, 40. This is 35 rings. Plus, we still got to go some. I'm going to keep the ball guide more through the hole this time. This is at least mid-club. So at least 11 rings, I would say, in this scenario. Maybe 11 and a half. Great right. May have cost me. It probably definitely cost me. I can't tell if I was early there or if it just kind of hard for me to know, but you can see it's good speed and kind of one ring over. But no worries, like I mentioned, I kind of wanted it to be more about the shootouts on this one and less about winning holes. So I don't mind if that was either right edge or it was in with perfect ball. I mean, you could tell it's like literally one green grid over for B52 at that distance. I'd say that's almost spot on a grid, or a grid is right edge. Like, it's very close either way. Of course we get this hole. Maybe this is a good hole. Maybe this is a teachable hole. I don't know. Like, not with that wind angle, it ain't. We already had this one. In fact, we played it like this 3 times. So this is kind of a perfect example of when I would kind of start to adjusting less. So I'm thinking maybe just come in just slightly here. We're going to maybe go more towards this right-hand side if I can. So max plus 30 with the small wind, a little bit light. It's actually a little bit light. 4, 5, 6, it's still solid. I still feel like you're going to win a lot of shootouts on this with 4, 5, 6. No way of knowing, whether or not they give me a shootout that's going to be valid for or not. We're definitely playing a manufactured shot. I could just tell with the emojis. But I definitely like that shot. It's a controlled shot. Even in that scenario, and that's a different wind direction than I had been playing. It's a little bit light. Usually in the tournament, this is the way that I play it. Now, I didn't play it here, and you can see it does roll up just a little bit more consistent. And that is one of the reasons that I like it. I play it like that in the tournament. I usually don't play it here just because I feel there's just way too many situations to learn. So that's the only reason I didn't play it that way. But you could see the shot that they gave me, it basically needed to be right by the pin. And all we needed to do to be by that pin was to go maybe, for this scenario, an extra half ring, somewhere in there. 12 ring, spot up, maybe just slight overpower because our line was pretty good. But nevertheless, thanks for showing up, guys, and hanging out for a bit. We, still had positive success. Like, at worst there, we kind of just broke even. So there's a lot of good things that can come from this tour and migrating up to 11. Once you get a lot of these shootouts down, they're definitely something that you can really take advantage of. You can win a lot of coins. And 11, I think you're going to win more in 12 just because you can go on more, fast runs in 12. Whereas here, it's not necessarily about the run, but it's more about the overall scale. It feels with those. So best of luck out there. Like I mentioned, for those looking forward to Thursday potentially, we'll try to do some Masters qualifier. Let's take a look at what that tournament looks like. So, it's the Euro. That's right. It's going to be like Paris and maybe some other courses or something. Euro 9 hole. I don't even know if this is something that you can even take a look at. Euro. It just says Euro trip. So that's not really helpful. That looks like Glen Monarch course. This, I have no clue what this is. Is that, I really don't know. So I'm not really sure what we're looking forward to. in this next tournament. Some of these holes I'm not sure I know, but maybe I do. Just the pictures don't make a lot of sense. But I'll see you guys on Thursday. We'll try to do like a one-time qualification thing. Best of luck out there. Hopefully you guys have some success in Tour 11. And see you guys next time. Take care.